Welcome. Good morning. We are so happy to have you all here with us on this beautiful fall morning. We always want to know who's joining us and would like to give you guys a moment as everyone's joining us just to introduce yourself. So please use the chat box to say hi, tell us your name, your current role, and something you are thankful for this season. For me personally, I am loving this weather and just taking a nice walk in the morning. It's so cool outside in the morning. I know it gets up into the 80s, later into the day, but the mornings are just so lovely. And as all of you guys are getting to know each other and see who else is on the line, I'd like to bring your attention to the second pink little arrow on the screen. We hope you all have a lot of questions for us this morning because we definitely have a lot of answers. So please use that Q&A feature to add your questions. It helps us to just keep track of all those questions so we do not miss any of them. So a few things for this morning's session. Most of you already know all of our webinars are recorded and we've already started the recording this morning. And so everyone who registered for this session will receive a recording within the week. We also have all of our upcoming webinars that you can register for, as well as our previous webinar recordings that are all posted on our webpage. So whenever you have a moment, feel free to browse some of our previous topics as well. And as I mentioned, please use the Q&A function in Zoom to ask your questions. And also, we will be awarding CPA credits for today's session to all of our attendees. So that'll come out later in the week as well with all of our follow-up. So, all right, now that we've covered some of the logistics, let's go ahead and talk about dual credit, maximizing your students' potential to earn college credit in high school. We have a jam-packed session this morning, a lot that we're covering. So remember, this session is being recorded and we will be providing the recording as well as the slide deck afterwards. So you don't have to feel like you need to take notes throughout this session. We are going to give you all of this information after our session. So we're going to start off with some welcome and introductions. So those of you that are just joining us now, welcome. We're happy to have you with us this morning. And then Lauren is going to cover our Academy Spotlight and share with you some of our sneak peek modules that we have. And then Veronica is from ACC. Will focus on how your students can maximize their potential to earn college credit in high school. And then Chad, these are all the amazing guest speakers that I'm sharing with you, by the way. You're going to meet them here in a second. He will review the FAST program, the financial aid for Swift transfer. And then Crystal's going to cover the college career and military readiness accountability, and she's with TEA. And then Amy will provide us with a live demo of the ApplyTexas dual credit application. And then we're going to cover some bright ideas from Lauren. Actually, they're from you. These are your bright ideas. Remember those questions we ask you guys whenever you register. We take all of those questions, we review them all, and we like to highlight some of your bright ideas so that you can share those with other people in the field. And then Jared's going to follow up with some of our announcements that we have and just like general other things that we have going on at Texas OnCourse. So just to keep you guys up to date. And then, of course, we're going to have time for Q&A at the end. But again, please continue to put your questions in the Q&A throughout the session so we can get to most of those as we're going through and in real time. And then we'll definitely have some time at the end to cover some of those that we didn't get to. And I know my camera's off right now, but I'm trying to fix that. But my name is Andrea Panter. I'm the Senior Network Coordinator here. This is our professional learning and engagement team. We host all the Texas OnCourse professional learning sessions and any of those requested PD sessions that you guys have for us here at Texas OnCourse. And I have the privilege of working with our director, Laura Guggen, and Lauren Disher, our professional learning coordinator, who are all on the line waving at you guys. Thank you. And Jared Garza, our network marketing coordinator, who are all here today to support you throughout this session. And Can't say enough how thankful I am to have you four fabulous guest speakers joining us this morning. So I'd love you guys to just take a moment to introduce yourselves, and we'll go ahead and start with you, Chad.
Hi there. I am Chad Cantata-Pulse, Assistant Commissioner for Student Financial Aid Programs here at the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. The financial aid for Swift Transfer is one of the many financial aid programs that we administer in our division, and I'm happy to be here today.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Crystal Garza. I'm the Director of Post-Secondary Preparation Programs at the Texas Education Agency. My team works specifically with early college high schools, P-Tech academies, Texas Regional Pathways Network, advanced academics, which includes dual credit. So I'm happy to be here to listen and get some feedback.
Hi there, my name's Amy Ziegner. I'm a user experience designer on the communications team at the Higher Education Coordinating Board. My team works very closely with college and career advising, and I've helped to design the look, feel, and features of some of our sites, such as ApplyTexas, as well as My Texas Future. So I'm excited to walk you through the dual credit app in ApplyTexas today.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Veronica Castillo. I'm the manager for the South Enrollment and Partnerships team for our high school programs at Austin Community College, and I'm excited to be here. And just FYI, I'm very thankful for this lovely cool weather as well, Andrea. So I was just thinking about that. As long as it stays, it'd be good if it was about 10 degrees cooler, but yes, very thankful for the cooler weather.
Thank you all so much. Like I said, we're so happy to have you all here. So here at Texas Encores, our mission is to provide advising professionals with the resources and community they need to deliver exceptional college and career advising to every student. So we keep this at the forefront of our minds as we create and continuously are updating all of the resources to share with you all to ensure that post-secondary success is successful for all of our students. And I will now transition over to Lauren to cover our Academy Spotlight.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Andrea. Let's go ahead and hop into our Academy Spotlight for today. So first off, what is the Academy? The Academy is free online professional development, and it's your go-to resource for college and career planning. The Academy has over 30 learning modules on endorsements, graduation plans, career pathways, entrance exams, college applications, military academies, financial aid, and so much more. And all of these are free modules for educators, and they're available remotely. Everything's online, so you can really review them at your own pace. So today, we're really going to focus on the post-secondary pathway, which is foundational knowledge, where you can find the module on advising all students to be college ready. So if you click on that tile, it'll pull up that module. And within advising all students to be college ready, you can find information on how to help your students just talk about dual credit, learn about what it is, and just more information on dual credit in general. So it's a really great resource that is current within the Academy that you can look at and get a lot of great information about. In the next couple of slides, we're going to kind of talk about and look at some of the resources and materials that we are working on, and we're working on revamping this specific module, and then we're going to give you a sneak peek into a new module that's going to go into a lot more detail on advanced academics. So first things first, just as a quick reminder, we are updating the Advising All Students to be College Ready module. So you can go there now and get a lot of great information, but just know that we're working on updating it. And on here on the screen, you can just see a quick example of some of the materials that we have within the Academy, just great resources for you to look through and then use within your own educational practice. So as promised, here is that sneak peek into the brand new Advanced Academics module that will be available next year. We're working really hard and really diligently on the resources and materials within this module to really help you navigate dual credit, learn about it, just college credit in general. You can see on the screen, these are two infographics that we have created that you can reuse for your own educational practice. You can make them into posters, give them to students, all of those those great things, but just really detailed information on advanced academics. And this is another example of one of the great materials that are in this module. Just a good quick example of some of the limitations and advantages of dual credit. So if you're going over this information with a student, this could be a great handout to have on a desk or just in your room somewhere, just to talk to students about that further. So just remember, this is a sneak peek. You guys are the first to see it, what our advanced academics module is going to look like, and it will be available next year. And with that, Veronica, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Yay! I feel so excited because like we get the sneak peek. That's so cool, Lauren. And when you say next year, is that like January, or you mean next year? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, it'll be about probably February, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's really exciting. Can't wait to share that with our team. Just a sneak peek. But thank you so much. So thank you again for inviting me to go ahead and talk to you guys about our dual credit program at Austin Community College. This slide deck really is kind of a combination of what we would be presenting information session to our high school partners whenever we present information for students and families who are interested in our program. So, and of course we specify it, but anyways, okay, I'll go on. So just to give you a little bit of background information about ACC, Austin Community College, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary last fall, 2023. So we're now 51 years old pretty much. We have now expanded to 11 campuses in our ACC service area, which encompasses about 7,000 miles, North Gerald, South Johnson City, Prairie Lee, going to be Manor and Smithville would be east, and then west, Lago Vista. So pretty much everything in between. As far as high schools that we serve in our area, we roughly have over 120 high school partners, and that would be private, charter, and public school students, as well as homeschool students. Our last count, and that's what this is literally what I sent Lauren the slides. As of October the 23rd, we roughly had a little over 7,800 high school students who are currently participating in an ACC course, our early college, high school, and dual credit students. And just a fun fact, RB is our mascot, and RB stands for River Bat. So just give you some fun facts about ACC. So what is dual credit? And as you know, Lauren, you mentioned earlier with regard to that sneak peek where, many of our families who want to know more about dual credit, exactly what that means. It's an opportunity for eligible and approved high school students to take a college course through Austin Community College, of course, while they're still in high school. For college credit purposes, they just need to earn a grade of C or higher, okay? And if the course is approved by that specific high school or school district as one that will also satisfy high school graduation requirements, then the student will earn dual credit, hence the term dual, killing two birds with one stone. So you're earning college credit and then satisfying high school graduation requirements as well. Great example of this would be our ACC History 1302, which is United States history, second half of it, basically 1877 to the present. The reason why this is a really popular course for many of our public and charter schools in the area is because it coincides with the end of course exam. So that's the reason why it's very popular. But again, I want to emphasize that it's always contingent upon that specific high school or school district to determine whether or not that ACC course is going to be transcribed back to the high school transcript. Just want to make sure that that's clear. Okay, and we have many different types underneath this big umbrella of how to earn college credit as a high school student. As I mentioned before, dual credit, that's where you're going to be taking a course that's going to earn college credit as well as satisfying high school graduation requirements. But we also have students who are taking co-enrollment courses. So these are going to be classes such as Government 2306 that they will take for college credit only. So it's not going to be transcribed back to the high school transcript. Again, totally contingent upon that specific high school or school district. But these students have the opportunity to take this course now and get the college credit. And then that way, after they graduate from high school, they don't have to worry about taking this course again. We always advise 2306, which is Texas state local government, especially if they're going to be staying in state, because as we all know, that is going to be a required course once they earn a bachelor's degree. We also have early college high school, and these are going to be designated by TEA as a specific early college high school, meaning that these students will start basically in 9th or 10th grade, and they have the potential to earn an associate's degree upon high school graduation. Right now, we roughly have 13 early college high schools in our ACC service area. We are about to onboard, I believe Pflugerville ISD just became a designated ECHS, and they'll be our newest partner beginning next fall of 2025. We also have PTech, and these PTech programs are going to be very similar to our early college high school because they are designated by TEA again. And these are going to be more workforce programs, whereas the students have an opportunity to go ahead and more hands-on experience to where they have the ability to earn a level 1 certificate by the time that they graduate. And this is basically like a stackable credit where they can earn a level 1 certificate and then perhaps go on to earn an associate's degree. These are a good example of this is we have at Crockett High School in South Austin, AISD, they have a building construction PTech program. And we also have career programs, again, something else underneath our umbrella, where we have level 1 certifications, as I mentioned before, but these are going to be for students to have the opportunity to take these courses. They are not specifically enrolled in a PTech, but these could be like perhaps homeschool students or students who are attending a private or charter school, and maybe they want to just have the opportunity to go ahead and do some workforce classes. But they not only can they have the opportunity to earn a level 1 certificate, but they can also earn an occupational skills award as well. And these students are taking their classes basically at an ACC campus. We also have areas of study. And these programs are becoming more and more popular for students who may not be interested in maybe doing some of those core classes, but again, they want to go ahead and they're interested in obtaining a job very quickly upon high school graduation. So maybe they want to go into the health sciences, they want to go into phlebotomy, ENT, pharmacy tech, as you see there, IT, welding. Welding has been a really big popular program for many of our students who, especially if their high school doesn't offer welding, then they are very interested in taking welding. And basically because they want to just, they make a lot of money once they graduate from high school. All right, for our dual credit program for students who are interested in participating, we do have eligibility requirements. They do need to have completed the 8th grade in the state of Texas. So this is generally going to be for our rising 9th through 12th grade. So once they've graduated from high school, they're no longer eligible for the program. So sometimes, unfortunately, we have students who will ask, and it's like, no, you still have to be in high school. They do also have permission from their parent or legal guardian. With our ACC dual credit application, they actually have a parent contract that's embedded in the application itself. Students also have to have permission from their high school. So they do need to have permission either from whether they're attending a private charter or public school, or if they're a homeschool student, then we do require a memorandum of understanding that needs to be signed by their parent or legal guardian. Depending on the specific course, they do need to have college readiness. So we do, and the next slide will show over, but that QR code right there gives the actual enrollment steps and checklists for our potential students that we share with students and families and our high school partners, because it gives like the registration dates and the exact steps for the application, as well as registration steps and just other important information with regards to our program. And for those courses that are going to be on the core curriculum, and again, the core curriculum is the list of courses that automatically qualify for the dual credit fee waivers. That list is what we refer students to. It includes also 4 languages as well as American Sign Language. But for students who are interested in taking these specific courses, they do need to have some type of college readiness. ACC accepts all kinds of tests, of course. And so the TSI, the ACT, SAT, PSAT, the only one that we do not accept is going to be from the PSAT. 8th and 9th are not acceptable. And we do offer the TSI test at all of our campuses. And right now it is actually free. So we used to charge $29 for the test. We've actually waived that fee through August the 31st. But we also have many of our high school partners who offer the TSI test at their specific high school campus. And effective immediately, when we're talking about, trying to provide an opportunity for high school students to participate in a college course, what we found is that, the students are running into a lot of barriers. Families are running into barriers, especially for students who may not have access or be able to afford to take this class. But we waived the out-of-district fee. So we used to charge $150 per ACC course for students who resided in a non-ACC tax-paying district. We have now waived that fee. So that means that all of our students in the ACC service area have the opportunity to take a course that's, again, could be on the core curriculum or a workforce class, including foreign languages and American Sign Language. As long as it's an approved course, they no longer have to pay that additional out-of-district fee. And we also used to have a 12-course cap limit, meaning that once students had exhausted all of those dual credit fee waivers, we charged them full price tuition and fees once they reached course number 13. We have now done away with that course limit as well. So again, we're trying to alleviate those barriers for our students. So they now have an unlimited amount of college courses that they can take so long as they are a high school student. So again, we're trying to open more doors for students. And again, if those courses are not going to be a workforce class or a core curriculum class, then yes, they are charged full price tuition and fees. But for many of these courses that students are taking, they have the opportunity to take a class for free. The only thing that we don't cover are textbooks. But at ACC, what we have been really starting to do is, for many of our courses, we call them ZTC courses, and those are zero textbook cost, which means that the professor has chosen to provide a free online textbook, or that they are actually providing the learning materials online in advance. That's part of the course, and the students are not charged for the materials. Okay, and where can students take a class? Well, as I mentioned before, we're like Walgreens. If you just keep on driving, you can run into an ACC campus. So I joke about it all the time, but I'm being really serious. I mean, we have 11 campuses all over the place, so there really is no excuse. No. But we offer students, students can take a class at an ACC campus. They can take classes online. And again, here comes a whole barrage of different types of options, because our online classes, they can take them asynchronous, meaning that they are going to be self-paced. They can do synchronous, meaning that they can do virtual, the way it was kind of during COVID when things were shut down. We also offer hybrid formats now, to where students are actually going to class face-to-face, one day a week, and then the rest of the course format is going to be online. Not all of our classes are going to be offered online. And our distant learning department has really done a fantastic job of providing information for students who are interested in taking a distant learning course. So there's really good FAQs for students. And there's also a quiz for students to take to really get an idea of whether or not they're ready to take an online class. And again, they could take classes at a campus. We also offer ACC classes for our high school partners. Many of our larger school districts and a couple of our smaller schools as well, we do offer the ACC courses there at the specific high school. They're actually embedded into the school day, so they go in line with the bell schedule. So we work really closely with those specific schools to make sure that the courses at a convenient time for students, to where they have be able to maximize the opportunities for those students at their specific high school. And why in the world would students want to do this? It's for A lot of really good reasons. And I would say probably the most popular reason is because they're saving money. For our tuition fees, roughly for students who reside in districts, so they are living in an ACC tax-paying district. Good example would be like Austin Independent School District. That is known as tax-paying district. 3-credit-hour course is roughly about $255. If they are outside of districts, so a good example would be like Dripping Springs, Lake Travis ISD, those they do not pay property taxes towards ACC, so they are known as out of district. Regular price would be $858. So if you're talking about students who have the opportunity to take classes for free, you can see that it's a win-win situation. They're also standing out on college admissions applications. So they are demonstrating to their future college or university that they are going above and beyond taking a regular high school class. So again, some of our school districts also their ACC classes are going to be weighted as well. So they're going to be equivalent as far as really giving students like more of an incentive because they're weighted credit similar to AP or UT on-ramps. Some of these students who want to obtain a job very quickly, they can earn a level 1 certificate or go on to earn an associate's degree. Again, earning college credit and high school credit. So once they take this course, they earn a grade of C or higher. They don't have to worry about taking this class ever again. And for our classes, roughly our largest lecture courses are going to be capped at 36 students. So we're talking about some of your basic core classes like, a lecture government course or history, 36 students. If you go on to a large university, we all know that some of those lecture courses can be about 150 students. So they're definitely getting a smaller class size. Learning soft skills, student advocacy, how to communicate with their professor, really learning how to take responsibility. They're running their own ship, basically, when they're participating in a college course while they're in high school. And of course, if they're taking these classes that are on the core curriculum, they automatically transfer to any of our 4-year public university partners that are in Texas and most of our private schools. But again, we always advise students to make sure that they are in communication with that future college or university to make sure that those actual credits will be applicable towards the bachelor's degree. Oh, and I see a hand raised. Should I go ahead and let's see? Can I view it? Deborah, did you raise your hand? Let's see. I'm just taking a pause here. Is that okay?
Yeah, Veronica, there is a quick question since I'm going to be the hand, and if not, I would just remind everybody to pop a question into the Q&A since we're in webinar format and we're muted. But Bob Montez wanted to know if ACC is still using the PSAT as an eligibility test or assessment score.
Yes, for 10th and 11th grade. So only the PSAT from 10th and 11th grade. That's the only one that we will use as a temporary college readiness waiver that can be applied, while they're in high school. So yes, we definitely use 10th, 11th grade PSAT scores. The only one that we do not use is going to be the PSAT 8-9.
Great. Thanks, Veronica.
Sure. And we can move on. Yay! And as far as just, with regards to, this is always an important slide that we want to share with our families because we want to ensure that they understand that these courses are going to be a different format than what they may be used to in high school. Our courses are taught by ACC faculty. Okay, so our faculty do have academic freedom. So we remind our partners and, students and parents especially, that our professors do not change the course format because they're teaching to minors. So we want to make sure that everybody is on the same page when we give this information to families. Again, student ownership. So they're learning that advocacy firsthand. They're responsible for the application and registration when they are ordering their official transcript. They're responsible for that information on their own. And really what we're trying to teach students is that not only are they a student already like at their specific high school or in their school district or whatever, but they're also an ACC student. So with that, they kind of have to understand that they are, 2 students right now while they're in high school. We also have an academic success team. So I'm in my role for high school programs for enrollment and partnerships. We help with the vetting and the onboarding process, helping students actually enroll for their classes and working with the logistics with our high schools and planning their ACC courses for their students. But we also have an academic success team. So once students are actually enrolled in a course, we have a specific team that actually works with these students while they're taking their courses to help provide any type of support that students may need while they're in class. So maybe they need assistance with, talking with the professor. Maybe they need to withdraw from the class. So they need to know, what do they have any options or what are the consequences of withdrawing from that course? Maybe they need some academic coaching, or maybe they need some tutoring. So our academic success team is actually working with them to make sure that they are being successful in their ACC course. So they're like our work spouses per se. We also remind families, of course, of FERPA that their information is protected. We are allowed to share information with our high school partners per se, as far as like sending them like a grade report of all their students who are enrolled in ACC course. Again, they do need to be one of our partners, in order for us to share that information. But otherwise, we are only sharing that information specifically with the student themselves with regards to, their grades or anything per se that has to do with their ACC account. And we also have accommodations. We have an entire accessibility team that is at every one of our campuses. These advocates can work specifically with students who may need some type of accommodations. So perhaps if you have a student who may be on a 504 plan while they're in high school, our accommodations team would work with that student to help them apply for those specific services, and then we'll be their point of contact in communicating specifically with the professor with regards to any accommodations that they may need to help them be successful in that class. But our dual credit students, our high school students who are enrolled in classes, they have access to all the same perks per se that our traditional students have. So they have access to free tutoring, our student life. They can go to a food pantry if they need to, that we do have at our campuses. They can go and meet with learning lab tutor. They have free Capital Metro passes. They can go to any of our computer labs, even if they're taking classes online, they can still access these resources at any of our campuses. And ACC, we are a firm believer that, as you all know, that's the entire reason for, this called credit momentum. And I love this. It was actually a really cool learning deck that was by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And I thought it's very interesting. If you look at that stat, in 2021, for 1.5 million students who were taking at least one college class during that year, and think of that trend, how much it has grown. Our enrollment, as I mentioned right now, roughly about 7,800 students. We're almost at pre-pandemic level. So we can see that, it's going to continue to grow, especially because in Central Texas, of course, we have many families who are living there, but we are really trying to get the word out how much, great opportunity this is for families. And that credit momentum, if you see, for dual credit, I've always told students that, just try one class. Once you try one class, you're just going to keep on going. Maybe you start in the summer semester and then you decide, I took one class. All right, I got this. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. I'm going to take a couple of more classes. They are getting that exposure to college level work now, as I mentioned. This isn't a simulated example. This is actually full-fledged. They are starting their college transcript now. There is no opting out of their college credit. They are also learning that mindset of, that college culture, again, learning those soft skills in communicating, learning their time management skills, what it means for deadlines when things are due, etc. But it's also helping reducing the cost of what they're going to be eventually having to pay once they graduate from high school and go on to their future college or university. We're trying to eliminate those barriers again by providing an unlimited amount of college waivers that they can use while they're in high school, eliminating the cost of the TSI test if they need to take it. Many of our courses, again, that have those zero textbook costs in helping to eliminate those additional textbook fees. So we're really trying to help students and families save money in the long run and hopefully get them out of debt, they don't have to, at least, when they graduate from high school. We want to make sure that, again, once they take a class, they're more likely, and they're successful in it, they're more likely to continue on and taking more classes and hopefully can earn a degree or a certificate or an occupational skills award, something that will help them get a job once they graduate from high school. And of course, as we see that it allows them for, especially for some of our students who are going to be, in early college high schools, those designated schools where they're starting at 9th or 10th grade, they're having the opportunity, they're in to take a college class now. They are getting in that culture, that mindset that this is what it's like. They know the terminology. And of course, they can use that degree to go on to earn a bachelor's degree and go ahead and get out into the workforce. And that is it. But there's the QR code again for our enrollment steps and checklist that we provide again for our students and families who are interested in participating. We also list the scores, the registration dates, etc., our contact information. We also have a family newsletter that people can sign up for. You do not need to be a student in order to sign up for that newsletter. We send it out once a month, and it's sent out in English and in Spanish. It just provides, say just upcoming reminders, maybe information about, midterm advising, how to prepare for final exams, just tips and tricks about, how to be a successful college student, at ACC, and just many of our resources that we want to provide for our students here in Central Texas. So again, thank you so much. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We have a whole team. We have actual assigned schools that we have here at ACC, with our high school program. So again, we have enrollment of partnerships, career academies, career academies team, as well as an academic success team. So we are all here to help. And
thank you so much, Veronica. I really appreciate
Sure.
it. A lot of great information. And we do have a question for you all.
Good.
And we are going to put all of
that's a great
that
question.
Changed. So for you guys on the line, how does dual credit work differently in your district? So please answer that in the chat as we're going through, and continue to drop your questions that you have for us in the Q&A as we're moving along. And as you guys are answering that question in the chat, we're going to keep going because we do have a lot to cover today. So I am going to transfer over to Charles, and he's going to talk about the financial aid for Swift Transfer Fast.
Great. So I was having a little bit of trouble earlier with my screen. So Andrea, should the slides be showing at this point?
Yes. Can you see them on your end?
No, I can't. So
do you want to share your screen if you have them pulled up on your end?
I didn't, because I was able to see her slides, so I didn't know I wasn't going to be able to see these. So hold on one second.
That's okay. Laura, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay.
Hold on, if you'll just give me one moment.
Of course. And anyone that has any additional questions as we're figuring that out, please put those into the Q&A. So we're able to answer those at the end. And we'd still love to hear how things are going for you all with dual credit.
Yes, we can also, I see a couple questions. We can post the newsletter or put that link in. You'll also get a resource doc with everything that has these links on there.
Yes, and Olivia, that link will be provided. If someone can drop it in now, if not, we'll be providing that in the resource doc.
I just dropped the link in the chat to the ACC family newsletter. It's just right there in the chat, so you guys can have that there. And just again, the resource talk at the very end of the presentation will have all of the links from our ACC presentation that we went over, links to the Academy, links that Chad is going to go over, and Crystal.
And Chad, if you'd like, if you can't see it, we can move to Crystal's portion and then come back to you.
I am back. I just had
Okay,
to sign out and
perfect.
sign back in. Unfortunately, it's saying you cannot start your video because the host
Oh
has
yeah,
blocked it.
yeah, now that you're back in, let me make you a co-host again. That is easy, easy peasy.
Well, while she's working on that, I'll go ahead and get started. So, wanted to let people know about the Financial Aid for Swift Transfer program, which is a brand new program, just started last year. And it's a very different program than the other types of financial aid that the agency has typically administered. This program actually uses foundation school program funding to help provide support to community colleges as well as four-year public universities that allows them to provide dual credit courses at no cost to educationally disadvantaged high school students, really with the focus of increasing access to college level classes, as well as providing a funding source that institutions can utilize in combination with other funding that they have to be able to provide the courses at no cost. And so next slide, please. One of the things about the financial aid for Swift transfer program is that it sets the tuition very specifically for any students that are taking dual credit courses at the institution. And this not only provides a funding source for the institutions, because any eligible student that takes a course through the dual credit program, the institution receives funding from us for that program to help cover those costs. But even if a student isn't eligible, even if they're not an educationally disadvantaged student, all students benefit when an institution participates in the FAST program because by participating in the program, the institutions are agreeing that they will use the FAST tuition rate as the maximum tuition rate that they will charge to any student who's attending high school in a Texas school district or charter school if they're taking an eligible dual credit course. So the FAST program not only provides funding to institutions to help them provide courses at no cost for educationally disadvantaged students, but it also helps keep the cost of dual credit down for all the other students as well. Next slide. So far, it has been one of the kind of fastest programs that we've had take root. When we launch financial aid programs, they often take a couple of years to really find their base and become ingrained in how the participation and other factors come together. But just in the first year of this program, we also had, or we've already seen almost 1.5 million credits offered at no cost through this program. And we have funded almost $80 million in coursework at these programs. And we know that these numbers are actually going to go up for the first year because we only had the numbers for the fall and the spring. And once we add the summer courses, we know we will exceed those 1.5 and $80 million levels. And one of the things that is nice about this program, it's very unique in its funding source. Most of our other grant programs, things like the Texas Grant, the Texas Educational Opportunity Grant, those programs, there's a set amount of money that the legislature appropriates, and we allocate that out to institutions. They each get their portion of the money, and they can choose which students are going to receive that money. And we know that those appropriations don't cover all of the eligible students. With the FAST program, as it's funded through the program, Foundation School program, um, every eligible course that an eligible student takes is automatically funded. So as the program grows, the funding automatically grows with it. And one of the things that we're really excited about is, watching that grow, because we're watching the number of institutions who are participating grow through the process. And so I think I might have a slide that talks a little bit more about that in a second. So I'll wait and see if I do have that. I can't remember. So next slide, please. Yes, it is the next slide there. So far, 47 out of the 50 public community colleges are already participating. All of the state and technical colleges are participating. We're getting close to half of the public universities that are participating. None of the health-related institutions are participating right now, but that's not surprising. They don't really offer dual credits. So it's more that they're not dual credit institutions, not that they're not participating in the program. And you'll get all of these slides, and early in the slide was a QR code that'll take you to the FAST website. And when you go to that FAST website, you can actually go and find a list of the participating colleges on our webpage, so that you can see which institutions have chosen to participate. We still have more. We're hoping to see even more join in, but already in the first 3 semesters that it's been available, every semester more institutions have been joining the program. Next slide. So when I've mentioned several times about an eligible student, and what does it mean for a student to be eligible? So first off, they must be educationally disadvantaged. So that means that they were qualified for free or reduced price lunch in any of the 4 school years prior to the academic year in which they enrolled in the dual credit course. They also must be eligible for the foundation school program funding. And so that means that their average daily attendance measures are at the level that allows them to be considered foundation school program funding eligible. And what we do is we work directly with TEA, Texas Education Agency, to verify educationally disadvantaged students and foundation school program eligibility. We do the first at the beginning of the year. We do the latter at the end of the year. It also requires that the student is taking a dual credit course that's being offered through an institutional agreement that the institution has with the school district or charter school. And so in order for students at a particular high school to be eligible for the FAST program, that high school needs to have entered into an institutional agreement with the institution that is offering the program, and that institution has to have opted into participating in FAST. Now, one of the things about the program is that if an institution of higher education chooses to participate in FAST, then it must offer the FAST program, it must provide the FAST program to every student that is attending any school with which they have an institutional agreement. So institutions of higher education aren't able to have some high schools that are in the FAST program and some high schools that aren't in the FAST program. If the institution is in the FAST program, then all schools that have signed an institutional agreement with this institution are part of the FAST program. And the eligible courses, you can find more details online, but they basically cover many of the same concepts that were just mentioned in the last part of the presentation. The core curriculum, the foreign language requirements, the coursework that's leading directly to and being able to be transferred directly into degree programs. So really trying to cover as much as possible of the different dual credit opportunities that are out there. Next slide. Oh, I was trying to do this off the top of my head, and here it is on the next slide. So, the courses can either be specifically for providing both high school credit and college credit, or they can be courses that a public institution is offering where a high school student can still enroll, even if they're not getting high school credit, as long as the course is fulfilling a requirement of an associate degree or an industry recognized credential, a foreign language requirement, a core curriculum requirement, or a field of study requirement. Next slide. So when it comes to charges, I talked about the fact that this is a no-cost program for those students who are eligible. And it really does mean no cost. So if a eligible student is taking an eligible course, and the high school and the institution have an agreement in place, then that student does not incur any expenses. They don't incur tuition, they don't incur fees, they don't incur books, supplies, other course materials. It is fully a no-cost program. If the student isn't eligible for FAST, if they aren't meeting those criteria I mentioned, then the institution may be charging for other costs, such as fees, books, supplies, those types of pieces. However, these charges would never be incurred for a FAST eligible student. And even for those non-FAST students, they can't be charged tuition above that FAST tuition rate that's set. Every institution develops its agreements with the school districts and charter schools independently. And so different institutions may approach this in different ways. Some institutions, for example, may approach coursework in a way that they're using more of the online educational resources and providing those free opportunities that way. Some may be engaging with the school districts or charter schools, such that the school districts are providing the funding for those other costs, for the books, supplies, things like that. So there's a number of different ways that it might be approached, and it's really then up to the institution and the school district to come to an agreement as to how it will work. They just need to come to an agreement such that eligible students don't incur any costs for the program.
Thank you so much, Charles. We're
Is
going to
that
go ahead and transfer over to Crystal, just so we're able to move along with everything that we need to cover today. So Crystal, if you don't mind taking over, sharing your screen. Chad, thank you so much for all of that information. So great. And again, we're going to be sharing all of those resources that he talked about with you guys in our follow-up.
Great. Good morning, everyone. I believe you can see my screen. Could I just get a quick confirmation just
Yes.
to make sure. Okay, awesome. Thank you. So my portion of today's presentation is going to talk about maximizing post-secondary pathway alignment for schools and students from the lens of college and career military readiness, accountability. For some of our higher ed partners on the call, I recognized a couple of friendly faces and familiar folks that me and my team work with. We're going to mention a little bit about House Bill 8 dual credit fundable outcomes, just to hopefully make it a little bit relevant for you all as well. So I wanted to start by making sure that folks have seen that there is an updated CCMR component of student achievement domain graphic. I can definitely put the link in the chat. Our performance reporting colleagues at TEA have put together a slightly updated graphically, but still the same information on the differences between accountability and outcomes bonus funding. But I wanted to break some of this down even further because, as you can see, and as most folks are probably familiar with that are CCMR practitioners on this call, this is kind of a listed format, and I wanted, for the purposes of our discussion today, to be how do all of these components kind of align with each other? This is a perfect opportunity to talk about dual credit, particularly our core curriculum courses, to say there's the meeting the criteria for Texas Success Initiative in both reading, language arts, and math, and you can do that through a couple of different ways. College credit earning courses, whether that's dual credit on-ramps or different credit by exams, and ultimately earning a student some sort of post-secondary outcome like an associate degree. So while this only reflects college readiness, there are different ways for us to also visualize career readiness, right? But for today's example, I was just going to focus on the earning dual credit and the different ways that that builds onto each other to get a post-secondary outcome. So we know, and as ACC discussed, and we're talking a lot about FAST, there are different criteria in our accountability system at TEA that students can hit in order to meet criteria in both. And I think that's very important to remember, is that we are looking for reading, language arts, and mathematics. As was mentioned previously in our session, our TSIA courses and all of those different eligibility criteria often impact if our students can take dual credit. So for dual credit, 3 college credit hours in reading, language arts, mathematics, 9 college credits in any subject. On-ramps, credit by exam, of course, are not as impacted with the TSIA criteria, but still wanted to show that all of these types of courses fall into this college credit earning course bucket. And so we showed there's assessments, there's courses, and then ultimately there's post-secondary outcomes. And all of these things, if you're course sequencing, if you're an early college, high school, a P-Tech, you're just really advanced dual credit practitioner, is hopefully leading students to transferable pathways or certificate or associate degrees that pertain to what these students want to achieve after high school. So ultimately, like I said, mentioning a little bit more on the college readiness aspect of CCMR, but still wanted to make that point that all of these things build on each other, and that's how we should be modeling them for students. I also wanted to give a brief shout out for any of our practitioners that are early college, high school, P-Tech, or even just thinking about entering into the College and Career Readiness School Models Network, or which are our early college, high schools, and our P-Tech academies. We are seeing really great success with our graduates earning credentials consistently, and I know we have a mix of different practitioners in the room, and I know especially we heard from ACC that are really contributing to these outcomes, whether they're in these special programs or they're just dual credit students, different academy programs, and things like that. So wanted to go ahead and talk through a little bit of a case study for you all in terms of earning dual credit courses, which we know aligns to accountability. It aligns to some of the goals from House Bill 8 and our FAST scholarship that Chad mentioned is definitely contributing to this. So we're hoping that our students can meet TSIA criteria in reading, language arts. We're aligning it to English 3 with English 1301 and 1302. We're having our students meet the TSIA criteria in mathematics and aiming for that, aligning pre-calculus with Math 1414, Math 2412. This may look different in different regions of the state, but wanted to really try and find a common example for English and math, seeing as how it's so aligned to our accountability system. So I have on here, what has this high school graduate achieved? They've met TSIA criteria. They've earned, in this scenario, 14 college credit hours. And for outcomes bonusing, we're encouraging the student to enroll at a post-secondary institution following high school graduation. Let's get those credits over that the student earned to be able to contribute to that student's continued educational outcomes. They met the TSIA criteria, and that student qualified to be included in a threshold for outcomes bonusing. So as a mix of practitioners in the room, how many of those graduates are we intentionally recruiting to be educationally that are educationally disadvantaged or special education programs or at-risk students? So being intentional about looking at, if you're a CCMR coordinator for your whole district, how are you pushing campuses to think about their whole student population, their different feeder patterns, and how many of those graduates are exceeding that threshold for outcomes bonus funding. So hoping to leave some of these questions in the chat for you all to have continued conversations at your districts and campuses to keep asking questions about how to improve accountability, but also outcomes bonus funding to make sure that we're also increasing those numbers with those milestones. So same scenario, but I wanted to make sure to also hit on some points that the agency doesn't necessarily collect currently. And those are things like GPA, which we know can be really important for a student's journey once they graduate from high school. So how many of them are graduating with honors close to 4.0s? How many are graduating a little bit too close to that 2.0 for comfort? Right? And how are we advising those students to understand how they can improve in their academics? And how many are graduating on academic probation, which is unfortunate. And we're really working to put in place interventions, right, to continue to support students. But these are really questions that, while we don't measure them, a lot of our partners are having those conversations, partners meaning our institutions of higher education that have access to all of this kind of information and are actively working with our secondary partners to create reports and give more information to campuses in order to help with the advising of students. So in relation to accountability that we started at a very high level, we talked about earning dual credit courses, the different components for TSIA, and then ultimately getting to some sort of post-secondary outcome or getting a student onto that journey of hitting that post-secondary outcome. What are some of the things that we need to consider with our higher ed partnerships? So maintaining an up-to-date MOU, saw a lot of questions in the chat about, is my institution participating? Is my institution that we work with participating in FAST? How can I get a hold of that information? How do I know? A lot of that information is tucked into an MOU. So it's if you're in a larger district, maybe having conversations with your district to make sure what is in there, what benefits are my campuses supposed to be working through recruiting for our students. And I can't emphasize this enough. I know I went a little bit fast, but want to make sure to get to my other colleagues in the call. But on the previous slides, looking at that course sequencing and master scheduling, I can't emphasize that enough, and making sure that our counselors are participating in those conversations to make sure of what are the college credits that these students are actually attaining, and making sure that everyone in your leadership teams, your CCMR teams are aware of what it all takes to actually get to course sequences like the one on the screen, because it's not as simple as we really want to offer dual credit to students. It's being able to say that everyone on your team understands that the blue, which is those high school courses, someone speaking that language and kind of understanding a little bit of the orange language, which is higher ed courses, and actually inviting those higher ed partners to be able to come together and make sure that we're actually getting to those certificates, those post-secondary outcomes for our students, and contributing to the systems that we're trying to gain outcomes for. So on this slide, I did know that we would have a mix of early college, high school, P-Tech, dual credit practitioners, and some higher ed practitioners on the call. And so I wanted to put together a table that would show different goals that each of these different groups are trying to hit and how they're aligned. So I know there's a couple of different outcomes on the screen, but I did want to highlight that earning 15 college credits by graduation right in the center, to say our early college, high school, and P-Tech academies have that as a goal, as one of their goals. They have many that they can choose from, but they do have that as one of their goals. And for CCMR, I also wanted to mention that earning 9 college credit hours in any subject is also something, and of course we want to say 9 college credit hours in any subject, but with intention. We want to make sure that they're not just doing anything, but you're working with your partners to make sure that there's intentional pathways work that is happening to offer these courses. And I also wanted to kind of include House Bill 8 dual credit fundable outcomes to say, whether you're working with an early college, high school, P-Tech, or a dual credit practitioner through your districts, we're all working towards very similar goals for college credit attainment. So this slide will definitely be there. And for any of my early college P-Tech practitioners, we're definitely going to be talking about this throughout the year. So on the next couple of slides, I just want to leave folks with some thoughts to think about enhancing any post-secondary programming. I know we have a lot of folks that are really focused in on a different myriad of these components. There's a lot of different CCMR strategies, teams, positions opening at different districts. And so whether you're focusing the most on dual credit, career technical education, or you're immersed in an early college, high school, P-Tech, or a TRPN program, wanted to leave you with a couple of considerations. I'll only be going over the highlighted ones just for a little bit of expediency, but of course you will have these to look at a little bit later. Really wanted to focus on that effective advising piece after going over that those two examples of course sequencing. Because a course sequence doesn't have to just be something that lives on the paper, like what you saw on my slide, but how can we use that in order for advisors, counselors, and ultimately our students and parents to understand what the program is trying to achieve for their students, and how is it integrating, like I said, with the high school curricula, and ultimately transferring over in a community college or university space. For our early college, high school, again, you all are receiving a lot more data if you are a tenured early college, high school, but still wanted to emphasize that in our blueprints, we do highly encourage tutoring programs, academic advising, counseling services that we know are really being pushed right now in the state of Texas. Our P-Tech program is a little bit newer, and so wanted to make sure to put the P-Tech fundamental components in here, and then go to the next slide just to emphasize that P-Tech is definitely a very similar program to CTE and offering dual credit through those career clusters and programs of study. So I really wanted to emphasize for any folks on the call that were thinking about P-Tech or their administrators and starting that conversation, is that we're really trying to make sure that we're in alignment, not just with accountability, different IDCs, but ultimately making sure that at the course level for CTE career clusters and programs of study, we're really honing in on that and aligning that messaging for our CTE programming. So really appreciate you all hopping on. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I can make sure to put some of our mailboxes in the chat. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Crystal. And I'll take back over sharing my screen.
Andrea, do you actually just want to pass it over to me? And
Yes, I would love
sharing?
to. Let me just grab it.
All right, sounds good. Thanks to all of the other guest speakers and all of the wonderful information that you just shared. Let's see here. I am going to walk us through the application process in ApplyTexas. I'm going to do my best to take us through that in a relatively short amount of time.
Amy, you should be able to grab it. Are you able to?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up now.
Okay, perfect. I told you guys we have a lot of information today. And it's so great to hear from everyone. Thank you all so much.
Mm-hmm. So when a student signs into ApplyTexas for the first time, they will be directed to the application screener, which is a set
Amy,
of...
I don't think people can see your screen.
Oh, no? Okay.
Here, try that. Does that work?
I can see it, Andrea.
Okay.
I can
Perfect.
see it.
Okay, great. Awesome. So as I was saying, when students sign into ApplyTexas for the first time, they're going to be directed to an application screener, which is a set of questions that will point them towards the right application type for them. And it's directly connected to our school search experience. So I'm going to highlight that a little bit later. But first, they'll be asked whether or not they are currently in middle or high school. And then they'll be asked what type of program they're planning to apply to. So if they're using ApplyTexas to apply for dual credit, they should choose either option 2 or in some cases option 3. This might be appropriate for our high school seniors who are using ApplyTexas to apply to both dual credit programs and are also getting ready to apply for 2-year or 4-year programs. So I'm going to choose dual credit here and then move on to our next question, which is around citizenship. So students will answer questions around their citizenship status. I'm just going to choose yes for this. And that completes the screener, lets me know that I'm eligible now for dual credit apps. From here, we recommend all students go on to complete the core questions because these questions are common not just to dual credit, but all application types, 2-year, 4-year as well. They cover all of the basic demographic information that students need to provide about themselves, their family, their educational background, and any activities that they've done in school. So filling this out ahead of time will not only populate their dual credit apps, they can also use this information to apply for 2-year and 4-year later on. So once those core questions are done, students will be able to go over to the school search page. And this is where they're going to be able to look for the institution that their high school partners with. Because dual credit came up in my application screener, only dual credit apps will show here. It's pre-filtered towards the application type that the student is eligible for. So let's say that I am a student at a high school here in Austin, and ACC is the community college that my school is partnering with. I can search for ACC here. And just for the purposes of this demonstration, there is a dual credit app available for ACC. And once I click here and click Start Your Application, now I can see some of the school-specific questions around dual credit that I need to answer in order to apply. So institutions can use this app type to collect information about majors I might be interested in. In this case, we've populated this with the areas of study. There are also school required questions, and in this case, they're asking about what region in Austin I live in, whether or not I'm a first generation student, what my high school ID number is. And since these are all required, I'm just filling them out right now as I go. There's a question around what type of high school program I'm enrolled in. So let's say if it's an early college high school, I can select this one. These questions really are going to vary from institution to institution based on how they set it up and what kinds of details they're looking to collect about students beyond what comes up in that set of core questions. And when I click next, I can see in this case, I don't have to submit an essay for this dual credit app, right? So there's no prompt here. I'll just go on to the next page where I can review, right? And so this shows me that I've done all of the core questions. Looks like I needed to go back in and select a date to apply. So I could choose that here. All right, but ultimately I can go through and review and make sure that I have completed all of the requirements in order to apply for dual credit. Now, I want to come back over to the school search experience for just a moment to call out some important things to be aware of. It's really important that students check with their counselors, right, with their high schools to verify which institution their school is partnering with and how that school wants to receive their dual credit app, right? Hopefully, most colleges will be utilizing ApplyTexas for this purpose, but it might be the case that they're utilizing a different system, right? Like I know ACC, for instance, they mentioned that they have some agreements, right, that the parent needs to sign on to. So you might have a different method, right? It also might be the case that an institution, rather than using the dual credit app, is preferring to use the 2-year app type. And so I just want to point out that if a student is aware, hey, the college that I'm applying to definitely wants me to apply via ApplyTexas, but I'm not seeing it pop up for some reason, it might be because they're using the 2-year app type. And in order to be able to see that app type, I would just need to turn this toggle off, right? So I'm not filtered down to only dual credit apps, right? In this way, I can see other application types as well. So just really want to emphasize that it's super important for students to verify how the partner school wants them to apply and what app type they should be submitting. But I know that was a super speedy run through. So happy to pause and see if there's anything that I can clarify. But that really is the gist. Going through the application screener, filling out the core questions, and then answering those school-specific questions. Yeah.
Thank you, Amy. Does anybody have any questions? And we will keep going on. We're going to transition to our bright ideas. As we mentioned earlier, these are bright ideas from you all in the field. So Lauren, I'll let you take it away with this.
There we go. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. This has been such a fabulous session so far, and I know we are going to get to Q&A next, but we do want to share some of our bright ideas. So just like Andrea mentioned before, we ask questions during the registration process, and you guys, we love looking over your answers. We got over 200 answers for our bright ideas for this session, and it was really fun to go over and just see what you guys had to say. So the question that we asked for today's session was, how do you encourage your students to participate in dual credit? So out of those 200 responses, I pulled the most popular, the ones that kept popping up through all of your answers. So the first one was, a lot of you just start by discussing those benefits of earning college credit in high school. Veronica touched on a lot of this earlier in our session, just how much money the student will save on tuition and how much time they'll save in college. The next one is, a lot of you host student and parent dual credit information sessions. So maybe you have those in the evening or perhaps virtually, where you invite students and parents to come and you discuss dual credit, what it is, what it means, and what it can do for them. You also visit 10th to 12th grade classrooms to talk about dual credit and those opportunities that they have available to them so students can sign up for those courses. And then we also had several people respond that their districts actually require students graduate with a certain amount of college credit. So you have to meet those graduation guidelines for your students. I know that was short, sweet, and to the point, but again, guys, thank you so much for all of your bright ideas. We'll keep sharing them out, and we're gonna go ahead and hop over to Q&A to make sure we have enough time for that. And I know,
Yes.
oh, go ahead, Andrea.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yes, thank you so much, Lauren. And yes, we would love for you guys, any other questions that you have. If they're in the chat that we missed them, please put them in the Q&A feature. We really want to be able to answer all of the questions that you have. We do have our experts on the line with us right now, so please utilize this time to ask those questions that you've been dying to know about. And for our guests and hosts on the line today, if there's anything else that you've thought of as we were going through this presentation that you'd like to share out, that maybe you're like, oh, I learned this and want to speak a little bit more on this, we have, a few more minutes that we would love to hear any extra tidbits that you'd like to share with everyone.
I also want to just say real quickly, thank you so much to our guests. We have put a lot of the links directly in the chat as of right now that you can access if you want to, especially from TEA. We did drop the family ACC newsletter in earlier, but again, you'll get all of these resources in the follow-up email next week.
Yes, and as we mentioned earlier, we'll be providing you with the slide deck as well as the recording. But of course, we always love to hear your feedback. So as we're still waiting for some of those last minute questions, if you don't mind just filling out this brief survey, it's just a couple questions, a few actually, just so we can continue to provide you with the most up-to-date, accurate information and what's most relevant for you all, really.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, guys. I mean, I know that we could all talk about dual credit and all the opportunities, but I would highly recommend, it's taken time, and I think that these programs are just going to continue to grow, but they can be very confusing, for some of our partners. So I highly encourage to, as a high school partner, to reach out to your IHE, just because we are always happy to go, and at least for our high school partners, to go and give presentations or go and meet with students. And especially for sometimes some of our, schools that are large, or maybe they don't have enough staff, we're always happy to go and help out, whether it be for information sessions or actual registration assistance, where we're pulling students in a computer lab and we're helping. So I know that it's a lot of information, but I highly encourage ask questions and get to know your partners as well as you can. But it's these type of sessions that I know I learned a lot today, especially with the FAST program. That's something that is definitely new, and we hope that it just continues to grow. And I will say that one of these things that we are going out and we're speaking with our high school partners is that we are encouraging them to make sure that they are notifying students, to make sure that they are filling out, that application for free and reduced lunch, making sure that they are doing it, because sometimes, parents may forget. So that's one thing that we are encouraging our high schools when we're meeting with them. But thank you again.
All right. Well, do we have any additional questions? If not, I hope you guys all have a great day. And again, we will be providing you with this recording as well as our slide deck, as well as our resource document, which I know Jared dropped in the chat. Thank you, Jared. So that has everything that we covered today. As Lauren mentioned, you guys are going to get that. It's a lot of great stuff coming your way shortly. So I hope you guys all have a great rest of your Tuesday, and hope to see you again at our next webinar, which we will be hosting in February. So we won't have one for December or January, but we will be having one the second Tuesday in February. So hope to see you guys there at 10 a.m. Thank you, guys.